Welcome back to Shadows on the Summit. Right now, you are looking at the soaring glaciers and craggy peaks of Mount Rainier, silent and majestic, breathtaking under the afternoon sun. But this mountain is more than a postcard. It has claimed hundreds of lives over more than a century. On its slopes, climbers disappear into crevasses. A crash into glacial ice buried 32 Marines. Hikers vanish on snowfields where storms arrive without warning. This is real. The people we remember today climbed here. They never returned. In this episode, you will see beauty and danger collide. You will hear last messages, watch empty boots abandoned on trails, and feel the weight of lives cut short. If you are compelled to honor their stories, the only ticket you need is a single click on the subscribe button. Stay with me, because every ridge, every glacier here holds a story waiting to be told. And for some, those were their final steps. You stand at Paradise, elevation 5,400 feet, and the mountain rises before you like a throne of ice and stone. Mount Rainier National Park sprawls across 236,000 acres of Washington wilderness, glaciers carving through ancient rock, snowfields stretching toward horizons that seem impossibly distant. The Emmons Glacier alone covers nearly 5 square miles. Carbon Glacier descends lower than any glacier in the continental United States. South Tahoma Glacier hides crevasses beneath snow bridges that look solid until they are not. People come here for the beauty. They arrive with cameras and hiking boots still clean from the store, dreams of summit photos to post online. They park at trailheads like Paradise, White River, and Longmire. They breathe the thin alpine air and feel alive in ways that cities never allow. But this mountain does not negotiate. It does not warn. It simply exists, 14,410 feet of volcanic rock wrapped in ice that moves, cracks, and swallows without conscience. The wind here does not whisper, it screams. And sometimes, when it falls silent, that silence marks where someone's story ended. Since 1897, Mount Rainier has documented approximately 395 fatalities. Nearly 117 of those deaths involved climbing. On average, park rangers conduct 30 to 40 major search and rescue operations every year. These are not minor incidents. These are helicopter extractions, body recoveries, searches that span weeks and sometimes find nothing. The terrain demands respect that many visitors do not understand until it is too late. Hidden crevasses open beneath what looks like solid snow. Sudden storms can drop temperatures 40 degrees in an hour. Ice that appears stable in morning shade fractures under the afternoon sun. Most fatal accidents occur above 11,000 feet, where the air thins and judgment falters. What draws people in, the challenge, the pristine wilderness, the promise of standing above the clouds, can quietly become a trap. On paper, it is just a mountain. But for the families who wait by phones that never ring, Rainier is a name that changed everything. All it takes is one wrong step, one warm afternoon, one misjudged ridge, and something beautiful becomes unforgiving. The mountain's history is written in names that echo across more than a century. The first recorded climbing death came in 1897 when a climber slipped during descent in darkness. The spot where he fell is still known as McClure Rock. But individual tragedies pale beside what happened in 1981. On the Ingraham Glacier, near the Disappointment Cleaver Route, an ice fall triggered an avalanche that killed 11 people, 10 clients, and their guide. It remains the deadliest mountaineering disaster in American history. Bodies were buried under tons of ice and snow. Some were never recovered. The glacier moved over them year after year, carrying them deeper into frozen silence. Not all deaths here involve ropes and crampons. Vehicle crashes on narrow park roads have also claimed lives. Drowning in glacier-fed streams. Hypothermia in forests where rescue teams search for days. Missing persons whose cars sit abandoned at trailheads. their stories dissolving into theories and hope that fades with each passing year. Over the next chapters, we will tell you 6 of the worst stories ever recorded here. Real people, real tragedy, real consequences. September 14, 1987, early morning on the Emmons Glacier. A climbing party moved across snow that looked stable, white, and firm under sunrise light that turned the mountain gold. They were roped together, experienced enough to attempt this classic route, careful enough to check their gear twice. But warmth had been working beneath the surface for days. Snow bridges over crevasses, those deceptive coverlets of snow spanning voids in the ice, had weakened. They looked solid. They weren't. When the climber known in reports only as KF stepped forward, the bridge collapsed. No warning crack, just sudden absence. He fell 80 feet into darkness, a drop into ice and rock that ended instantly. His team tried to respond, but the crevasse was too deep, too unstable. For 2 weeks, his body remained entombed in glacier ice until conditions allowed recovery on September 28th. He had planned this climb, posted about it, left copies of his route with family, taken photos at base camp the night before, smiling, alive, hopeful. An experienced climber, prepared and cautious. Yet nature's invisible trap still claimed him, proof that on this mountain, skill and intent don't guarantee safety. December 12th, 2011. Winter had wrapped Mount Rainier in deep snow and short daylight. Brian Grosbois, 54 years old, traveled from New York to walk alone through the white silence near Paradise. Maybe he sought solitude, maybe reflection, maybe just the peace that winter forests offer, that hush. Under heavy branches where the world feels cleaned and simplified. He set out on snowshoes into the upper Stevens Creek drainage. Cold air, drifting flakes, the crunch of snow underfoot. He carried basic gear. He had a plan, but winter here does not care about plans. When he did not return, search helicopters and ground teams combed remote drainages where trails disappeared under fresh snow. They found him eventually, but too late. Hypothermia, the silent creep of cold and exhaustion. No avalanche, no dramatic fall, just the mountain's winter grip tightening until his body surrendered. He was airlifted to Madigan Army Medical Center and pronounced dead. By then, he had likely been gone about 24 hours. His final steps vanished in snow, no last selfie, no final message. Just a man who went seeking quiet, beauty, and found isolation that no gear could fight. In winter, the mountain looks peaceful, but for some, its silence is the hardest kind. 1 mile south of White River Road, Highway 410 curves through forest, where sunlight filters through Douglas fir and western hemlock. It is the kind of drive people take slowly, windows down, maybe stopping at viewpoints to capture the mountain framed by trees. The driver, known in reports only as RG, was pulling a trailer, perhaps camping gear, fishing equipment, the supplies for a weekend escape. The road looked routine, just asphalt and forest and the promise of a trailhead ahead. The trailer began to fishtail. Maybe the pavement was wet with evening dew. Maybe the curve came faster than expected. The driver tried to regain control, that split-second decision to correct rather than stop. The vehicle left the road, went over the embankment, and fell. RG was pronounced dead at the scene. No dramatic rescue, no chance to call for help. Park personnel investigated the accident, documented the loss, and the road returned to quiet. You drive into the park thinking of glacier views and alpine meadows. Sometimes the danger is not snow or ice or altitude. Sometimes it is asphalt and a moment's miscalculation. A weekend plan, a family trip, a fishing escape died with one wrong instant. The trailer and all those weekend hopes are forever silent. This is what might be the deadliest mountaineering disaster Mount Rainier has ever witnessed. The Ingraham Glacier route approaches Disappointment Cleaver, a path climbers know for its exposure and challenge. 10 clients and 1 experienced guide started their summit attempt in pre-dawn darkness. Headlamps cut through the cold air. Crampons bit ice. Rope teams linked together in trust and ambition. Each climber carried their own dream. A summit, a personal challenge, a bucket list moment. Some probably trained for months, others trusted the guide's reputation. They moved upward through terrain where ice layers shift beneath the snowpack, where crevasses hide, where the mountain's weight redistributes itself in ways no human can predict. Then the mountain moved. A massive ice and snow slab collapsed. An avalanche swept all 11 climbers away in seconds. There was no time to react, no chance to self-arrest or find an anchor. Just the sudden, catastrophic power of nature deciding the conversation was over. All 11 died instantly. Bodies were buried under tons of ice and debris. Recovery was nearly impossible. The glacier continued its slow movement, carrying remains deeper into the frozen dark. Some victims were never found. Families waited for closure that would never fully come. For some, the mountain offered what they asked, a chance to touch the sky. Instead, it swallowed them whole. May 31st, 2014. Liberty Ridge, the North Face route that experienced climbers call one of Rainier's most dangerous. Steep, exposed, notorious for icefall, rockfall, and weather that turns lethal without warning. 6 mountaineers, 2 guides, and 4 clients chose this path knowing the risks, accepting them as part of the ultimate challenge. They likely saved all year for this climb, trained, posted about their attempt, called family before ascending. They set out from base camp with tents, gear, and hopes aligned toward one goal, the summit via the hardest route. While they were ascending or descending, reports vary on the exact moment. Something failed, perhaps unstable snow, perhaps a misstep on ice. The party fell approximately 3,300 feet down the north face toward Carbon Glacier. Search helicopters later detected their avalanche beacons near 9,500 feet, marking a debris field spread across glacial ice. 3 clients were recovered on August 7th. 2 more were recovered on August 19th. The other client and both guides were never found. They chose the hardest path. They understood the stakes. But ambition met terrain that does not compromise, and the mountain won. Dreams turned into final footprints on ice. Families were left without closure. Names etched into climbing history as a grim reminder, even expert mountaineers, geared, trained, beaconed, can vanish here. Joe Wood Jr., a journalist from New York attending a Seattle conference, decided to visit Mount Rainier for a day hike. He chose Comet Falls, a beautiful moderate trail through forest that leads to a cascading waterfall at about 4,800 feet elevation. 3 hours round trip, a photographer's dream, the kind of escape that promises inspiration. He rented a car, drove to the trailhead, and walked into the forest. Birdsong, stream flow, mist rising from water crashing over rock. Maybe he carried a camera to capture images for a story. Maybe he sent a last text before losing cell reception. The trail would have felt peaceful, sunlight through canopy, the sound of Comet Falls growing louder as he approached. He was never seen again. His car remained at the trailhead. Search parties launched into dense forest and steep terrain. Weeks became months, months became years. No confirmed sightings, no remains, no conclusive evidence. Some investigators believe he slipped into a creek and drowned. Others think he strayed off trail and succumbed to exposure. A few suspect something darker, though no evidence supports that. His family still waits, his final footprints lost somewhere in forest shadows. For every death we can mark with date and location, there are people like Joe, whose stories end not in recovered bodies, but in silence and decades of unanswered questions. Grief does not end when recovery teams stop searching. For families of the lost, Mount Rainier becomes a permanent marker, the place where someone's future disappeared. Surviving spouses carry wedding photos alongside last summit selfies. Children grow up knowing a parent chose a mountain over certainty, even if they did not mean to. Siblings hold memorial hikes on anniversaries, standing at trailheads where someone they loved parked for the last time. For park rangers, the burden accumulates differently. Decades of rescues, 30 to 40 major operations annually, build a weight that training cannot fully prepare anyone to carry. Rangers write reports that become archived records. They remember faces, names, the specific crevasses or cliff faces or creek bends where recoveries happened. Some rangers spend entire careers on this mountain, collecting stories they will never forget. The climbing community mourns each disaster as a collective wound. After the 2014 Liberty Ridge tragedy, climbers worldwide called it a grim reminder that technical skill does not equal invincibility. After the 1981 icefall, guides restructured training and route planning. Yet Liberty Ridge remains open. The mountain does not close. Some families never return to Rainier. Some fund safety advocacy. Some keep last photos framed beside beds where they still wake hoping for different endings. Memory lingers. The mountain stays the same, majestic, indifferent, waiting. The mountain does not negotiate. Weather systems arrive with hours of warning or with none. Crevasses hide beneath snow that looks solid until weight proves otherwise. Ice moves, rock falls, altitude thins, air and thought alike. No second chances, no appeals. Yet thousands of climbers attempt the summit each year. Thousands more hike lower trails, snowshoe winter meadows, and drive park roads in search of views and escape. The mountain's danger does not diminish its draw. Park climbing rangers invest thousands of training hours annually preparing for rescues. They practice crevasse extraction, high-altitude medicine, and helicopter coordination. Still, some victims are never found. Some searches end not in recovery, but in probability calculations about where glacier movement might carry remains over decades. The ethical question hangs unanswered. Should more trails close? Should warning signs suffice? Are individuals responsible for knowing their limits? Is nature's indifference reason enough to restrict access? This documentary does not answer, but it shows the cost, measured in names on memorial plaques, in ranger logbooks, in families who chose to remember rather than forget. Maybe the mountain does not change, but we can change how we approach it, with respect, with humility, with awareness that beauty and danger do not exist separately here. They are woven into the same ice, the same rock, the same thin air. Sunset falls over Mount Rainier's western ridgeline. Golden light touches the summit, slides down glaciers, and fades into shadow. Somewhere on the Carbon Glacier debris field, gear from the 2014 Liberty Ridge fall still rests beneath ice. Somewhere near Paradise, snow covers the drainage where Brian Grosbois took his last steps. At Comet Falls, the trail Joe Wood Jr. walked still leads into forest mystery. The mountain does not mourn. It simply continues, ice advancing and retreating with seasons, rock shedding layers over centuries, weather systems rolling through without memory of who they have claimed. But memory lingers in other ways, in the families who visit trailheads carrying flowers, in rangers who know too many stories, in the archived reports that document each life with clinical precision and unintentional poetry. Last known location, estimated time of death, recovery status. Here, beauty and death coexist without contradiction. The same glaciers that kill climbers inspire paintings. The same trails where people vanish still draw thousands seeking connection with something larger than cities allow. If you ever walk these trails or look up at these ridges from Paradise parking lot, will you remember their names? Will you feel the weight of all those final steps, all those unfinished dreams, all those families still carrying absence? The mountain remains, silent, indifferent, waiting for the next season, the next climber, the next person who arrives with hope and leaves something behind, footprints, gear, or everything.